Starting the downswing with rotation with the torso is the biggest mistake you can make in golf. It causes you to cut across the golf ball, or it causes you to hang back around impact, which gives you huge contact issues and huge consistency issues. Let's learn how to get rid of the biggest fault in golf. So lots of golfers are so eager to get to the golf ball that they rotate the torso and believe that they should be open at contact a lot, which feeds the fire, if you like, and feeds the way they want to start this downswing. But as you'll see here, every time I try and rotate with the torso, the shaft and hands come out closer to the ball line. It also then, as a counteraction, causes my pelvis to rotate and not move laterally. So then it wants to move my low point further back. But when the plane is this high, the secondary move to that then is always followed up by either a handle rising and the wrists going into too much ulnar deviation, or the early extension to get the shaft closer to the ball, or you end up hitting the ball, pretty much shank or missing it. But the way to make it more functionable is by having these big compensatory movements. And these big compensatory movements can leave you with the club face that's wide open, can leave you with a path that's still cutting across, but less so than if you just carry on rotating. But it also means that the body is pretty much shutting down through impact, and then the hands get very, very active. So you end up with an impact that kind of looks like that. And the ball flight can be, well, it can be anything. Low left, big slice, top, fats, thins, all these kinds of things. So it's really important that we try and start the downswing the right way. And there will be rotation before you start shouting at the screen, but it's important that we start down with the right lateral move and let the rotation follow. So the right move on the way down, ideally, would be you've got a fully turned backswing. There's a slide across with the lower half, with the upper half following, and there's a fraction of rotation to recenter the club. If it was all slide, we'd end up with the club too much from the inside, which a lot of golfers would need to feed more for sure, because they don't slide enough and the club doesn't go from the inside. So the guys that are over the top, they can probably feed the slide move all day long. But essentially we want to slide, recenter, get the position before rotation. And that way we get the most amount of rotation through the impact zone, which means then the body and arms and hands and club head are not being thrown away or flicked through the golf ball too early. We do want the throwing and the flicking action, but ideally that wants to be only overtaking, the club head only overtaking the hands post-contact, not pre-contact. What we see with most amateur golfers, particularly the ones that start down this way, this throwing action and the club pointing back to the right side of your body or the middle part of your body happens at contact. Whereas the best players in the world, this club would point to the lead side of the body or outside the body, creating some shaft lean. Now, shaft lean can often get a bit of a bad rep. We need shaft lean, but we also need rotation and connection to keep the club face square. If we just give it shaft lean, the club face will stay open and we will hit shots to the right. And it can, if we disconnect the arms from the body, create heel shots as well. So it can be just as bad as rotating first on the way down. It's a complex sport, and it's a difficult sport. If we go back to more natural things like throwing, we move laterally and rotate in a quite sequenced way without even thinking. And that's what we've got to try and do with the golf, is try and make it a bit more natural and a bit more fun. So what I want you to do is basically swing to the top, keep your back facing the target, and really feel like you move your pelvis without rotating and put your pressure onto that lead foot. And that's the only thought. Then instinctively you're going to rotate and get back to the golf ball. But we really want to feel that we try and keep our back to target as long as we can, and really feel that we practice bumping those hips as much as we can in practice swings and even in the house. So in the house, putting the club across your chest, making a completed backswing. Can I bump the hips across about 5-6 inches? Let the upper body follow. I've got no problem with the upper body traveling this way as long as it's just behind the hips. If it's in line with the hips or in front of the hips, you will struggle then to control your hands at impact. If we get forward too much here, you will then stall and flip. It has to be behind and then rotate. That's the way we get the right firing sequence to get the hands working correctly in the ball and deliver that club with a consistent low point after the golf ball. Also good for the body. When we move this way in the way down and get the early extension, that is not good for the back. So we're better off trying to move the body as naturally and effectively, just like we would do if we were throwing that ball all the time. So when we go and hit golf balls, let's just try and feel that we keep our back to target and bump those hips across. Solid hit, just a nice bit of turf. Really happy with the strike and the flight of that golf ball. And I felt like I could get that low point consistently in the right spot. And that's what we're after. As a golfer on the golf course, we want to make sure you get ball and turf and get the ball in a straight-ish direction every time consistently, and that will lower your scores. So avoid, in my opinion, the worst move in golf, trying to get to that golf ball too early and doing it with your upper body where we probably feel the strongest, particularly us kind of stockier guys in the world. You know, we want to muscle that ball and get to the ball as quick as we can. Try and be patient. Try and let the lower half lead, and then let the upper half muscle it after that. And that way you will play great golf and be consistent and start lowering those scores. Give it a try, and good luck.